And with that, I hand it off to repeat offender, Kevin Frolic.
Thank you. Thank you. So just a quick recap. Mostly this demo is going to be on a fundamental dispute, but I want to recap EthFS, which is kind of one of the reasons for collaborating with this artist, Generative Light, or Adam, who's in Def. But I wanted a way to kind of like show the power of EthFS and why it's kind of special and interesting. So EthFS is a way to store files on the blockchain. It's a way to make it easier to store files on the blockchain, on Ethereum specifically. So a couple weeks ago, maybe a month at this point, I needed P5.js to be on chain because A Fundamental Dispute is built on top of that. And then there's a bunch of generative artists in the Math Castles Discord also looking to build on-chain art using P5.js. So they've been kind of asking like, does this exist on chain yet? Can I use it yet? So I ran a little file bounty. When you upload a file into EthFS, you have to upload it into chunks. That's a gas optimization technique. You're basically storing the file contents as contract bytecode that is not executable, but it's a cheap way to get around some of the gas limitations. So anyway, P5.js is quite a large library, but minified and gzipped, we can get it into like, I think 12 chunks. And so I made this little page to like, you can opt to upload a chunk. Everything is stored in a content addressable way, so it doesn't really matter who uploads what chunk because we know the content hash. And then we can create the file and make it available. So P5.js version 1.5 is now on chain. It looks a bit garbled because this is actually the gzipped encoded version. I need to like unzip it on the client to show the actual contents. But then someone else came along and uploaded P5 Sound, which is kind of an extension of P5.js to add sound libraries that you can then couple in with your generative projects. And he's launching a thing soon with that, which is pretty cool. So anyway, building on top of EthFS and this P5.js, Adam has been working on this project that caught my eye several months ago. He is very much building in public, so he's constantly like tweeting about the explorations that he's doing in P5.js. Started, I don't know, like a year ago or so. I don't remember how I came across him originally, but it's been fun. I love people that build in public and learn in public. So he's been working on this neat project that kind of creates these little landscapes, almost illustrative landscapes, drawings or sketches. They're all random and generated sort of on the fly. And what you see here is living 100% on chain, in that the code, P5.js itself and the code that uses P5.js to draw on the screen is all living on chain and served from Ethereum, Goerli in this case. So if you go into one of these pieces, it takes kind of a second to draw, but I can do this on OpenSea, and we'll kind of see the same thing going on here. So this works inside of OpenSea. Haven't really tested it in wallets and other marketplaces yet, but that's on my list before we launch. Aiming to launch, I think, like first week of February or so. The other thing I wanted to kind of like show is just like the really simple mint site that I built for this. It's intentionally trying to be very simple, partly because like minting experiences are ephemeral. There's only like 400 pieces. It's gonna mint out pretty quickly, so I spend a huge amount of time on like the mint experience. But this is again a sort of like, for me, a dog fooding experience in that I'm getting to use EthFS on the contract side and then using Web3 scaffold on the mint side to kind of battle test the different abstractions and flows and stuff that I have inside of Web3 scaffold. But I could mint a piece, eat up all my Goerli ETH.
The chat is enjoying your demo so far, Frolic. Seth says is dope. Really cool guy named Jamie says these are sick.
If anyone has any projects that they want that could take advantage of some JavaScript libraries on chain, or other highly reusable assets, say fonts or sounds or images or something like that, let me know and I can help you get set up with EthFS.
It's awesome. I do have an EthFS question around, like, I remember Dom was kind of putting some of these libraries on chain too, or at least was talking about it. Is he using a different approach versus what you're doing?
Yeah, the approach he used, so the Rose 3D Rose is the most recent example and the one that kind of lit a fire under my ass to get EthFS done and shipped because it's a section or a subset of a larger project, Floppytown. But the Rose, the way he did that, I think was much more manual. It's kind of a similar approach in what EthFS is doing under the hood, but he, I think, kind of copy and pasted pieces of 3JS into contracts that he deployed manually. So it was like EthFS is a big improvement over that, but I think there's still a lot more to improve as far as like usability of these sorts of techniques.
It's cool. Yeah, and if there's ever like a push to do a chunk bounty like this, let me know because the party bid gang would be really interested in seeing if we could do some kind of, I don't know. They love weird stuff like this, and I think it'd be really cool for people to be able to like kick in like just like a little bit and try to get like a larger pool rather than asking one person to throw in a third of an ETH.
Right. Yeah, we originally with P5 we're gonna do like a whole multi-sig process, and then I realized I could just let anyone upload a chunk, and it's like 0.1 ETH or something for a chunk. So made it pretty simple to backfill that. And then I think we got it on chain in like a day or less.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
That'd be a good one to give people like memento NFT. It's
Yeah,
like
totally.
thanks for uploading.
Yeah. Yeah, there's another technique someone's been fiddling with. So with the gzip approach, it reduces the amount of bytes that you have to store, which is gas efficient both in and out. But it means you have to include a G unzip library as part of your like token URI, which is only like 6 kilobytes or something, so it doesn't add a ton of weight, but it is a extra complexity that you have to be aware of. But someone's been fiddling with using PNGs as the encoding medium because PNGs have zlib deflate or something like that built into PNG itself as like its compression algorithm. So in the browser, you can then basically read out the PNG data into I think a canvas and then read out the raw bytes and then translate that into like JavaScript or whatever the kind of original plain text was. And in that, you'd actually have like kind of a visual artifact in that it's a PNG that looks like a bunch of noise, but it is actually P5JS or something, or a chunk of P5JS. So that would make a cool like little NFT.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea. I love that. Super cool. Thank you for sharing. Do you have a date in mind yet, or just like whenever it's done, you push it out?
It's kind of whatever it's done. We're very much trying to make this fun, simple, not stressful. So I think everything is lined up. It's just a matter of a little bit of fine tuning and letting it kind of simmer or marinate and make sure we don't forget anything before we launch. But yeah, aiming for first week of February, I think, but no like firm dates yet.
Can't wait. Thank you, Frolic. Oh, sorry.
Can I
Any other
ask
questions?
yeah, one quick EthFS question? I maybe missed it when you demoed. I know you'd shown this before. The actual file system layer. Are the chunks individually addressable outside of the files that they belong to?
Yeah, so the EthFS is sort of two layers. One layer is the content store, which is all the content addressable chunks. Chunks can be of any size, but the main thing that the contract does is it maps an SS store to address, which is where the bytecode lives, to a content hash. So anyone can build on top of that, and highly encourage you to build on top of that because then it creates an index on chain of all of the content hashes and their addresses of where the bytecode lives. And then the file store is built on top of that, which is basically a file name and an array of chunk addresses and checksums.
Very cool.
Love it. Can't wait for Floppytown too. I'm glad that's still in the queue.
It's definitely in the queue, but it's been in the queue for like a year.
It happens.
Ivy, did you have a question? I saw you unmute.
Oh yeah, I did. I was wondering, does the fundamental dispute contract does it render out the arguments to his generative algorithm as like metadata or properties that you could see on OpenSea? Are you like doing that on the fly with a JSON and as basics?
Good question. One of the kind of trying to keep it simple decisions we made was to not have any traits. So generally you would want to like generate on-chain traits and then pass that down into the generative algorithm that then decides like how to render the thing. But in this case, it's literally just a seed, like a random number that's generated when you mint. And that gets pushed into the JavaScript code that generates the everything else.
Cool.
Right on. Thank you, Frolic. We'll stay tuned and can't wait to mint.